Hey, everybody. From Salt Lake City, Utah, it's Thank God I'm Atheist, a podcast about politics, religion, American culture, and the disaster that is life in America presently. I'm Frank Feldman, and sitting in for Dan Beecher, we have...
It's me, Rachel.
Rachel. Thank you, Rachel, for being here.
Of course.
It's always good to have you.
So fun.
Dan's off doing whatever Dan does when he's not here.
Don't even ask anymore. He's just living the good life with all the rest of us.
Oh, I thought it was more, you don't want to know. You don't want to know what Dan's up to.
I'm mostly just jealous, so I don't want to hear about it. I don't need to know.
Aww.
But I'm sure he's having a great time. Big
time traveler, Dan Beecher. All right. Well, on the second half of the show today, we're going to be talking about a big milestone that happened for the Mormon Church this last week or within the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Their prophet, seer, and revelator, Russell Nelson, turned 100 and had a big old celebration, televised live by satellite.
Smuckers was there and... What's his face?
Smuckers?
No, what's the guy? The guy that does the 100 on like the Today Show or the morning show, and he says happy birthday to the 100-year-old viewers.
Al Roker?
Not Al Roker. It's a guy that's been on for decades though, but it's always like brought to you by Smuckers. You don't know.
I've never seen this.
What's his name? That's weird that you don't know that.
That's
I'm sure.
Funny.
It's not that obscure of a reference. Your listeners know what I'm saying.
The Smuckers guy showed up at Temple Square.
At Temple Square.
say happy birthday, Russell Nelson.
And those are the ones where they ask, what's the key to long life? And it's always like some old lady going like a Dr. Pepper and a cigarette every morning. Is what, and they always have like their secret to long, and it's something really bad for you.
Well, I have a Snickers every day.
Yeah. A whiskey and a Snickers before dinner.
Oh, all right. So that we'll be talking about that at length on the second half of the show. First, there were some things that happened this week that we need to talk about. For example, I've been talking a lot about Pope Francis lately, mainly because he's kind of he was on this trip to the South Pacific that was really just the gift that kept on giving as far as like religious news and whatnot. He just kept opening up his mouth and saying things. And here's one of them during his time in Singapore. He was talking to a group of students at a Catholic junior college. And it was an interfaith group. They were not all Catholics. And so he was sort of in that mode. He was talking to a group of people who might sort of maybe have interfaith dialogue, right? Mm-hmm. And he says to them that all religions are a path to God. And let's see, that he adds that different religions are like different languages, right, to reach God. And this is, and he continues, if you start to fight, saying things like, my religion is more important than yours, mine is true and yours isn't, where will that lead us?
Indeed.
There is only one God, and each of us has a language to arrive at God. Some are Sikh, Muslim, Hindu, Christian.
Well, the Hindu don't have one God, so they can't agree with him there.
Paths to God.
To the many gods.
Well, okay. Yeah, fair enough. But the message is nice, I suppose.
Yeah.
One of like, hey, let's all just get along.
Yeah.
If you believe in God, like it seems reasonable to think that God wouldn't be completely exclusive to just these people over here.
Yeah. And
the rest of everybody is damned.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't make sense. No just God would set up that kind of system. And since, I'm sure he likes to think that God is just.
Yeah.
Anyway, as you can expect, there were some Catholics.
Hey,
like,
that's not the message we've been putting out, though.
You mean I didn't have to do this?
I didn't have to get baptized?
Bishop Joseph Strickland, the former head of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Tyler, Texas, and we'll get to the whole former part of that in a second, said, please pray for Pope Francis to clearly state that Jesus Christ is the only way. To deny this is to deny him. If we deny Christ, he will deny us. He cannot deny himself. Now, Strickland, I believe we did talk about him or have talked about him on the show before. He is the guy who Pope Francis dismissed him of his leadership of the Diocese of Tyler, Texas, because he was going online and posting all sorts of things against the Pope, because he disagrees with Pope Francis on the issue of banning pro-abortion Catholic politicians from receiving communion, and he doesn't like the outreach that Pope Francis has made to the LGBT community, and so he of course just doesn't like Francis at all at this point, because he already didn't like him and then Francis fired him.
Yeah.
So he gleefully, I'm sure, was typing into Twitter his little statement against Francis. But then there was also Father Calvin Robinson of Western Michigan, who said this is counter-scriptural, or this is a counter-scriptural statement from Pope Francis. The scriptures teach us the opposite. The gate to heaven is narrow.
Yeah.
In Christ's own words, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And so I get this is a pope who's trying to be ecumenical and trying to be welcoming and trying to say nice things to a group of interfaith students. And who knows how much he actually believes the idea that like all roads lead to God, as long as you just are on a road to God, I guess. And he kind of stepped in it. He put his foot in it. And then the article, this was on the Christian Post, they included a very grumpy photo of Francis. He's in trouble again with church leadership.
Can't say anything without getting
I'm just an old man
over the coals
who likes everyone. Francis is such a bizarre figure.
Yeah.
To me, he tries so hard to like reach out.
I want to like him.
Yeah, because he's like, there's the story of how he had like he was having lunch with this group of trans people who were like coming like to the Vatican, who lived in Rome somewhere. And he would have them for like a little luncheon every so often, and was trying to kind of have a dialogue, right?
Yeah.
And you hear things like that and you're like, oh, wow, and then like, but he's more than willing to make official statements that seem to even countermand those kind of efforts. And then he comes in off the cuff. Like the article actually pointed out that he went off script, right? Like he had prepared statements to say to these students, and he goes off script, and then all of a sudden he starts saying what he actually thinks, So my impression is there's like the prepared statement version that his staff and all the higher ups at the Vatican have prepared for him,
right?
And he's willing to go and deliver those statements, but you get him off script, and
he's actually a decent human.
He seems like he might kind of sort of be on at least a lot of issues decent.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're like, oh man, who cares though?
Who cares? He still sucks.
He still sucks.
He still pretends to have visions from God and stuff. So
yeah, he's still loony.
Yeah,
totally.
He sucks. Can I do a story?
Please.
I'm going to do a story about Georgia, the country, not the great state.
Not the troubled state in these United States.
No, it's a great state.
Oh, but they just have some troubles.
They have troubles. They're
But
always
they're
having
trying
troubles.
though. They're trying hard.
Yeah, they're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay, so Georgia country, they finally have approved, their legislature has approved a law that's going to impose sweeping curbs to LGBTQ plus rights.
Oh, great.
In the name of family values and protection of minors, of
Great.
course, because minors can't be exposed to such things. So they actually already have in their constitution a ban on same-sex marriage.
Huh.
And this is just going to add to that gender reassignment surgery.
They don't like it.
They don't like it.
Yeah. Of course.
Things as simple as displaying a rainbow flag or having pride events can be outlawed.
Oh, geez.
And then books and movies and TV shows can be censored without any like real body to decide what is and isn't offensive, or do you know what it's one of those where it's like, if I say that this is immoral, then you have to ban it.
Oh, okay. So one
prude,
person,
yeah,
one prude out in the audience
Yeah.
can call in and be like,
yeah.
I did not appreciate that episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. It went a step too far.
That's pretty gay. I don't think they have to prove much. No, but so their legislature is this Georgian Dream Party, and they're just real conservative wackadoos, and it all based on their crazy Orthodox religion. But they're, strangely enough, their president is it's a woman, and she says she's going to veto this.
Good for her. What?
But they can still override her veto because they're in charge. But I love that I didn't know Georgia had a woman, first of all, as a president.
Yeah.
And that she seems to be kind of cool, at least on this issue.
Good on her.
Yeah. So there's that.
So that's actually remarkable.
I know.
So she's going to try to veto it, but do they have like a veto proof majority?
Yeah.
So she's doing it just for the gesture and trying to like make a statement.
Yep. And this party that's in power is apparently pretty narrowly in power. So they face an election coming up next month, and it's like they're using this as like the issue to kind of tip the scales, you know?
Okay.
It's one of those maneuvers, which sucks.
Because they feel like the majority of Georgian voters
will be
on their side of the issue.
Yeah, due to their like Orthodox religion.
Yeah. Oh, right. Of course. Oh,
I know.
Georgia. And that's just the worst. I remember going through that in like 2004 when the Bush administration was using gay marriage as a wedge issue.
Yeah.
And the feeling of being so dispensable as a member of the general population, that you can just be, your identity is being used in that way
for their gain
it's a really rough place to be. That sucks.
I know.
Oh, poor Georgia.
And
gay Georgians and transgender Jordans. Alrighty. Well, here's a fun one.
Good.
From England and Wales. There's a new law going into effect in both those places that will make it illegal to engage in sort of anti-abortion activism within sort of 150-meter radius around abortion clinics.
Oh, good.
So, this is a really common thing where anti-abortion protesters will try to intimidate women.
They'll film them.
Staff.
They'll get their license plates.
Yeah. Going into abortion clinics to receive, reproductive health care. And so, they've this begins at the end of October this year. And it is they're joining Northern Ireland, has a similar law. Scotland is basically putting their law into effect as we speak. And under the law, it will be illegal for anyone to do anything that intentionally or recklessly influences someone's decision to use abortion services, obstructs them, or causes harassment or distress to someone using or working at these premises. This includes the obnoxious silent prayer that they like to do as well.
Ugh.
Just it's not the worst.
God.
Doesn't that just make your skin crawl?
Yes.
Just standing there and just praying for people as they go by.
Oh, jeez.
I'm praying for you. And
praying for your baby, not you.
well, they're praying for your soul.
Yeah, I doubt it.
That it will hastily make its way to hell.
Yeah, that's what they're praying for.
Catherine Robinson, a spokesperson for Right to Life UK, said the zones would mean, quote, vital practical support provided by volunteers outside abortion clinics, which helps to provide a genuine choice and offers help to women who may be undergoing coercion will be removed.
who didn't know that they had women who didn't know that they had a choice to just have a baby.
Yeah.
If they want to.
Yeah. Correct.
You know, part of your choice is to just have the baby.
And I love this whole, we need to help women who may be undergoing coercion, but not the coercion we're trying to attempt. Right?
Sure.
We're trying to keep,
yeah.
fuck off.
Yeah.
That's such total fucking
Mind
BS.
your fucking business.
Yeah. This is, this law needs to come to the United States.
No kidding.
Because, if something is legal...
Yeah.
Right. Then what business is it of yours to go harass people who are doing something that's legal?
And
this should be protected.
Right. HIPAA doesn't let anyone know your private health info. So how come walking into a specific office, people can be suddenly in the know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I had endless resources and didn't have to work, you can guarantee I would sit in front of an abortion clinic all day long and just cause fights with these fuckers. I would. I would.
I know you would.
I wish it would be so ugly.
Yeah.
But I would find a way to get them to leave.
I think the trick is if you had the funds, but set up some sort of tent that the car can immediately pull into, and you can help escort the person into the clinic so that they're not having to face that harassment. I mean, it is harassment.
Yeah.
And it's just
it's an invasion of privacy. It's just unnecessary. Go mind your own damn business.
Go engage in the political process if you hate this so much.
Yeah. Which
of course they do as well. Yeah. But if this is something that you think is so incredibly wrong, go address the issue.
Yeah.
Right? Don't harass the people who are just trying to live their lives.
Yeah.
And are making decisions that you don't like.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know nothing about.
Yeah.
You don't know what the hell is going on with them.
Yeah, you don't know why they're going in.
Yeah.
Right. There are other services usually provided at these places.
Absolutely.
Right. I guess some of them are, I don't know. Do they, I don't know. I've never engaged in such services, but
why not?
I know.
Yeah. In Utah, in Salt Lake City, there's Planned Parenthood clinics that do not provide abortion services. And then there is one that does.
Oh.
So if you go to that one, there's
people know.
That's the one that has the protesters.
Okay. All right.
Because people know what you're going there for.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. All right. Well, well done. Well done, UK.
Yeah.
Sounds
way good.
You're addressing this issue, and good on you.
No kidding. Okay. We're going to Australia now on our tour around the world. Crazy religion. So back to the Catholics. This has nothing to do with the Pope, though, this time.
Good.
So Australia's Catholic Church had a lot, like everyone, like every Catholic church, had a lot of claims of like child sex abuse.
Yeah.
And they went and took it seriously and set up a commission and said, like, we're going to actually figure out, like, we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure they didn't do it all on their own.
No.
I'm sure there was some government coercion.
Of course.
Like, you have to look into
the
this.
Royal Commission of Institutional Responses to Child Sex Abuse.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So the church sets up this Truth, Justice, and Healing Council, right? And they found that 1,265 priests and other authority figures in the church had been accused over 6 decades.
1,200
over 6 decades.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. 1,200. Okay.
And so there's 1,200 abusers. There's over 4,000 people making allegations in like a lesser amount of time, not even like that whole 6 decades period. I did the math. That's 48 accusations per abuser, if you on average.
Oh.
So these people, so for decades, they're doing the old tactic of like, just move them to a different, you know, how can you get 48 people telling you that they've been abused and you're just like, I don't know, what should we do? Like, these people are so evil.
Yeah.
That they can take that many victims and just be like, I don't know what we're supposed to do about it.
See, the threshold, Rachel, is 50.
50. But the handbook says
we have to wait for the 50th time.
Yeah. They're trying to get to the bottom of it. They're investigating a lot of these cases and they know they're gonna have to pay out a lot of money. So at least there's that.
Yeah.
You'll get paid. The point is, don't send your kids to church.
No.
Ever.
Right.
Send them to drag queen story time.
Yes.
Because no one's ever.
No one.
Not a single allegation.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I did not know that, but it does not surprise me. So there is, I saw this article too. There was a number in there that really jumped out at me.
What?
Which was that this 1,200 priests that have been accused and nuns that this accounts for 7% of the clergy. 7% of Catholic clergy in Australia. 7%
that's pretty crazy.
Has been accused at this level of credibility. Right.
That's pretty crazy.
And that is shocking.
Yeah.
Because that's like approaching 1 in 12.
Yeah.
Like it's like 1 in 13
are abusers.
And
repeat abusers too.
Abusers.
It would seem.
Yeah. The ones that had people come forward and actually say something.
The average age of these kids is like 10 years old too. I mean, these kids can't speak for themselves and advocate at all. No.
And so it's a shocking number. And I like to be able to put it into the perspective of like 7% of them. Like, I mean, you've got a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like if 7% of school teachers,
oh my God,
were abusers,
we wouldn't send kids to school. You wouldn't send
kids to school. Right.
Right.
You're just playing Russian roulette with your kids' safety.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's really awful.
How I don't know how like Catholic schools operate, but you don't just go in and deal with one authority figure all day. You're probably exposed to 7 or 10 in a day, right? I mean, if you have teachers and then a religious service and then just like, I mean, you're encountering multiple. So even if you're the lucky one whose teacher isn't the perv,
one of the people statistically that you encountered that day is a sexual predator. Yeah.
I mean, these guys and nuns too have, there's no one to check them and they have like unreined in access to abuse people.
Whoa. All right. Well, fun. This seems to be a fairly Catholic heavy episode.
Well, they're a big deal.
Yeah. We'll fix that on the second half of the show, everyone. But for now, I've got another Pope story. This one having to do with, he was on this big trip And so the date line on this article is aboard the Papal plane on Friday. I think this is when he was on his way back to Italy. Anyway, he got asked by a journalist, because there were, I believe, journalists traveling with and all that, about the American presidential race that we're in the middle of right now. And he was asked about the candidates, and he says, both are against life, be it the one who kicks out immigrants or be it the one who kills babies. Through all of this, he never mentions Donald Trump or Kamala Harris by name, but it's clear who he's talking about when he says things like, one should vote and choose the lesser evil. Who is the lesser evil? The man or woman? I don't know. Everyone in their conscience should think and do it. He acknowledges he's not eligible to vote in the upcoming election.
So mind your own business.
And seeing as how he is incapable of pointing at Donald Trump and denouncing him as an immoral piece of shit, right? Like, believe what you want about abortion and immigration policies and whatnot, but if you can't use as the tiebreaker between the lesser of the two evils the fact that he's an immoral piece of shit, I don't know why you're even bringing this up as a topic.
Felon.
Yeah.
Multiple times over.
Yes. He's civilly liable for sexual assault.
Yeah.
He's like...
He not embezzled. He didn't pay taxes. I mean, he's committed tax fraud. The guy is a crook.
Yes.
The guy's a crook. And also, she's not killing babies.
Correct. Thank you.
He is kicking out immigrants, which is if that's what we're weighing here, kicking out immigrants or killing babies. She's not doing that.
She is not killing babies.
So what's the problem?
Abortion is not killing babies.
She's not making anyone kill their baby either.
Right. Well, that's true too. Yeah.
So
wanting reproductive care to be available to everyone.
Yeah, he's ignoring the fact that her stance is actually a pro-health stance, not an killing stance.
Pro-killing. She just hates babies.
She just hates them. Oh. She hates life.
The sooner we can get rid of all these babies, the better.
God.
They're just...
For real.
Just junking up the whole country. I guess this article mentions... I mean, because again, he has said bad things, or he has said strongly worded things about Trump in the past. In the run up to the 2016 election, Francis was asked about Trump's plan to build a wall, right? The famous wall along the border. And he said then that anyone who builds a wall to keep out immigrants, quote, is not Christian.
Right.
And so like, he's said things before. I mean, I actually don't want the Pope stepping into American politics. Like, that's not his place.
No.
And I wish, American religious leaders would actually stay out of American politics.
No kidding.
But we definitely
leave it to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Leave it to the pop stars.
Yeah.
To weigh in on this stuff, right?
That's an Oprah.
An Oprah.
That's who we want.
That's who we care about.
Yeah. Like, that's what matters.
That's who we want to hear from on this.
So shut up, Pope. You write multiple hit singles.
I'd like to see you try
triple, quadruple, Uber platinum.
Yeah. Good luck,
Mr. Pope. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I'll tell you a group of religious people who does not have a problem standing up to Trump.
Oh.
Because of things like immigration. And that's the Mormons in Arizona.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I didn't realize this. Biden only won Arizona last time by 10,000 votes.
Oh.
So he wants to do it again. Kamala wants to do it again. And they're finding that these Mormons in the state, which make up, I think it was 7% of the state, which is a pretty big chunk of the population. And if they only need 10,000 to flip a state, like or they did last time, the Mormons in Arizona do not 100% back Trump. Oh, here it is. There's 500,000 Mormons in Arizona.
Right.
And only 10,000 of them make the difference in the vote, right? So this is a pretty good demographic to go after.
Totally.
But yeah, they cite, the Mormons in Arizona cite LGBTQ issues and immigration. As these are not Christian stances to be against those things. And the younger Mormons are like, we like gay people. And, like, I think all Mormons of all ages have always at least said that they like immigrants, even though they don't vote always that way.
Well, the church has a strong pro-immigrant.
They rely on it heavily for their membership, as the ability to go and convert other people and come to our schools and
how do they
colleges.
keep their majority in Utah?
Yeah.
Got to import some Mormons.
And bring them in, So there's women women were in Arizona leaving Post-it notes on the restrooms, inside the restroom stalls in the women's bathroom at church.
Yeah.
Reminding them that their husbands won't know who they vote for. Is that amazing?
That's great.
I think that's I love
That's
it.
like some old-timey union organizing crap.
Yes,
right
exactly.
There.
Yeah. I always said back in my past life of being like politically engaged, the Mormon the Mormon Democrats were like always the smartest people in the room. Because they were Mormon, they believed in it, but they just knew how to pick the angles to you couldn't argue with them. You're like, yeah, that is what your church teaches. The church teaches democratic principles.
Correct.
Big D Democrat. Yeah. And so anyway, these guys are kind of like doing that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And of course, abortion is going to gum it all up because the Mormons still hate abortion.
Yeah.
But if of 500,000 Mormons in Arizona, we don't need that many of them.
Right.
And it sounds like, according to this article, a lot of them are defecting from supporting Trump.
Mormons have had a hard time with Trump, right?
Yes.
As a group.
Yes.
Right. Like, and we saw that with both presidential elections where he's been on the ballot. That like we had that third party candidate last time
McMullen
that did way better than like theoretically he should have.
It was like 18% of the vote or something.
Like people, and it was clear that there's just a lot of people in this state, Mormons, who are just like, we just can't stomach this Trump guy. Right. And so it hasn't been enough to swing anything in Utah.
No.
But if in a place like Arizona where
it matters.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I know.
The Mormons.
I know.
They might actually save us.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Good on them. Well, all right. Well, if you'd like to chime in on anything that you've heard thus far on the show, please feel free to send us a message. Email us at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up. Well, alrighty. This is normally the part of the show where we would do emails and voicemails. We're just going to skip all that and have wait for Dan next week. I think we're going to save thanking the new patron that came in this week. So if that was you, we'll get to you next week. Let's just get to our conversation.
Let's get it.
Yeah. Russell Nelson
Willard Scott, by the way.
Willard Scott.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Now I know who you're talking about.
Okay, Willard Scott with the Smuckers and You Turned 100.
Willard Scott's not 100 yet?
Well, he might be.
Wouldn't that be an episode of that?
Oh, I bet it's
Willard
planned.
Scott turns.
They're like, please live to 100.
We've got so much Smuckers for you, Willard. Anyway, so
he's 90.
What? Oh, these are his people.
Yeah. Okay, so go on. Sorry, Russell Nelson.
Russell Nelson, head of the Mormon Church, has been seen as something of a transformative figure at the head of the Mormon Church. He has been the prophet, seer, and revelator since 2018. And they had a big live via satellite event for him.
Were there bands and
it was
caterers?
A raucous affair.
Fireworks.
There were balloons.
Of course.
Some big balloons on stage, it looks like. Anyway, so the Salt Lake Tribune had a little article that they published. I think it's actually, they republished it from the Religion News Service because it's a Jana Reese article where there was a poll of active Mormons about their favorite changes that Russell Nelson has made in the Mormon Church. Because this is the thing. Even though he's an old guy, he's got new ideas.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Groundbreaking.
Ways to modernize the Mormon Church.
Outside the box thinking.
He's been sitting on these ideas for probably
90 years.
A long time. long time. He's been in church leadership since for
how long
ever.
has he been the prophet?
Since 2018.
Oh, okay. So just 5 years or so, 6 years.
Pretty recent, but he's gotten a lot done in that time. I mean, he has announced more temples than anyone else has ever announced.
My gosh.
Like, oh my God. Just a transformative figure.
So transformative.
We'll try to keep this not too inside baseball for those of you who don't know the Mormon Church terribly well. But I think that some of these most popular changes that he's made are actually really telling about the Mormon Church. Okay. And that's that, like, a couple of them really caught my attention because I think they just speak volumes about who Mormons are, what they've had to endure up to this point,
what they find important. Mormon.
And then and like speaks to, what they find important and their level of engagement with the church, I guess. The absolute number one change that he made was Mormon Sunday services used to be 3 hours long.
Oh God, so long.
And he cut off a whole hour, and now Mormons only go to church for 2 hours.
I mean, he should be canonized for that. I mean, like that's a big.
He will be remembered.
He's
for that one.
Amazing for doing that.
The 3 hour session on Sunday
is torture.
Rachel, I mean, you grew up
torture.
You grew up Mormon.
Yeah.
Pretty active Mormon family until you were teenager. Yeah. And little kids sitting through
3 hours of boringness.
Oh my God. It was the absolute worst.
And you get one little teeny tiny crumb of bread to make it through 3 hours and the tiniest thimble cup of water.
Oh my God. And maybe a Tic Tac.
So thirsty the whole time. Torture.
Yeah. So for those of you who maybe don't know what Mormon services are like, the 3 hour service was sometimes it was reversed. It wasn't this order, but you would go, you'd have your sacrament meeting, right?
For 1 hour. Sometimes more.
A little over an hour, where that's where you get the Eucharist, the bread and water that they do. You sing some hymns, there's some prayers.
A lot of talking.
And then there's a lot of talking.
Droning talking.
Like they'll have like a youth speaker, and then they'll have like someone else, and then they'll have like important,
the
the
main
priesthood
event
holder at the end,
Yeah.
to tell you what's right. But it's just people from the congregation
Yeah.
who were asked to give little talks on different
Yeah.
subjects. These are not professionals.
No, they're not speechwriters. They're not
usually terrible. Occasionally there would be one where like somebody actually knew how to.
Yeah, they were like a theater student and they knew how to make
everybody
people
would just
laugh.
like sit up and be like, yes. It was like cool water on a hot summer day. Just oh, thank you.
Thank you for not putting us to sleep.
Yeah. All right. Now we have to get through
2 more
3 or 4
hours of
months
this.
of bad services before they ask somebody else who's going to actually entertain us.
Yeah.
And then after that would be like Sunday school, and you would go and have like a little class.
You break out into your gender-based class.
Well, that was for like young men, young women's.
Yeah.
And
I mean, even below that, it was boys and... No, there was a mix.
Before 12
you're right,
years
there was
old.
a co-ed class.
Before you're 12, it's you're
you get your age group of all gender.
Yeah. Well, no, it's okay. Sunday school was gender integrated all the way. And then you would have young men and young women's. When the women were off at Relief Society, the adult women were at Relief Society, and the adult men were off at priesthood. Then the teenagers would go to young men and young women's, and the little kids would just have their second hour of primary.
Yeah.
They would do that's so you have your class section of primary, which for an hour, and then you have like your sing along and group instruction section of primary. Mainly it was a sing along. Ours was always just a lot of songs.
Yeah, no treats.
And like for 2 months of the year, you would be working on
the Christmas program,
either the Christmas program
or the Mother's Day program.
Yeah, exactly. You would spend a lot of time rehearsing new songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway. So they slashed one of the hours. Good on them.
That's a big move.
Yeah. This one really surprised me. This is a popular change that he made, and I thought it was a weird one.
What?
But the active Mormons say that using the full name of the church and avoiding just calling them Mormons is a really good positive change.
I wonder why they don't like the being called Mormon.
I don't know. Is
it because of like the Book of Mormon musical has just made it?
I don't know. Mormon wasn't always like a great thing to be called, right? Like, oh, those Mormons, right?
Sure.
And it's something that like maybe hasn't had the best branding done, right, by the church until like the 2000s when they really leaned into it, and they spent a lot of money on building a lot of positive association with the word Mormon,
yeah.
right? And for however much good that did, but they seem to really be embracing it. And then he comes along and is just like, throws it all out. Like there used to be like Mormon.org and they were owning it. And he made it so that you have to Mormons call it the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which growing up, I always found tedious.
It is tedious.
And I found it weird. And there were times when they tried this back in the 80s where they were like, oh, they always had a hard time with the word Mormon. And there was a period where they were like, we should call ourselves the LDS Church as like our short.
Yeah.
Shorthand. And so we're the LDS. That's who we are. Don't call us Mormon. We're LDS, which never really hit well. But in those periods, and when I was like, I would hear that at church, and then I'd go out and try to be the good Mormon kid and be like, no, I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And people were just like, what? What are you talking about?
What is that? What did you just say?
I tried it once or twice, and then I went back to being
you did try it?
Yeah. And I would just like, no, that's dumb. I'm Mormon.
Yeah.
I'm Mormon. And people would be like, oh, you're Mormon. Oh. Right? Like, I don't get it. It seems weird to be a positive change.
When I hear someone use the when I hear someone say LDS, it signals to me that they are Mormon.
Because only
Mormons refer to themselves or others as LDS.
Right.
And everyone else says Mormon.
Right.
So it's like their own like little inside lingo to like signal to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And if you pick up on it, then you must be one of them.
Well, and the church has like asked people like the media to always refer to them as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
On the first one. And then you can truncate it to the Church of Jesus Christ after that, which I think is
that's the truncate?
totally
No.
weird, right?
Yeah.
And they tried that. That's what they were pushing when they first announced this change. I haven't seen anybody in the media follow suit.
No one's picking
except
up on
for
that.
articles in the Deseret News. Nobody follows this. The Tribune doesn't follow it. And the Salt Lake Tribune doesn't follow it. And it's just like guys, you had a good brand.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you liked it or not, it's like Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And stupid Elon Musk throwing away one of the best brands, in existence. How long ago did he do that? And people are still calling it Twitter.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is a failed attempt to rebrand. And it shows a lack of need to rebrand.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a pointless attempt to change something. Anyway, another change that he made, allowing missionaries to call home weekly.
That's huge. And I'm surprised that's not number 1 or 2.
No kidding. Well, some people maybe are like, he needs some time on his own.
He needs to grow up.
Yeah.
Get off the mama's teat.
But for me, I don't even know what the mission would have been like if I'd been calling home once a week.
How so?
Well, it was a time of isolation.
Yeah.
Right? It was a time to be...
Nothing familiar. Nothing comforting.
And like, I don't know how that would have changed it for me. Like, I don't know if it would have made it more of a positive experience or if it would have just been... the logic always was, you don't want these kids to be homesick. And I never really fully understood that one. Like, it seems worse to not have contact.
Yeah.
And we would get 2 calls a year. I think it was like Christmas and Mother's Day were the 2 calls. And we would talk for like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And everyone would gather at your mom's house.
Yeah. These
take
could
their
not
turn.
Have been cheap phone calls.
No.
The
mid-90s.
Mid-90s calling to Italy.
Yeah.
That had to be really expensive.
I wonder what prompted him to change that rule. Were there like a lot of missionaries just like not making it through their mission? And
I don't know.
Like this was a concession?
So this article that accompanies this list talked about how it showed how it demonstrates a sensitivity to more modern parenting techniques.
Okay.
That like parents are a little bit more hands-on and involved than they used to be.
Yeah.
Definitely more than my parents were.
Yeah.
And because there's another one on this list, allowing parents to accompany youth into bishop interviews.
It's pretty big.
This is we might get into the weeds of Mormonism a little bit here, but like starting at like age 12, I think you start going in for like once a year interview with the bishop. And these were problematic.
Yeah.
There were a lot of bishops who would ask pretty prying questions.
Questions that shouldn't be asked of to a child from someone not in their family.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, things about masturbation and whatnot. And totally, completely inappropriate and just wrong. And some of them, like, apparently, like, were kind of pervy.
They were very pervy. And the accusations were that when they found out someone was masturbating, they were like, well, to what extent? Give me the details. Yeah, this is bad.
Yeah. So
those meetings needed to end.
They needed to end. Well, they didn't end them. They now let parents go in with the kid.
These kids just need to get their their temple recommends so they can go do baptisms for the dead with all their friends.
That's what.
And
it was
that's
for.
what this meeting is, or this interview is for. So yeah, let your parents go.
Yeah.
When the fake bishop pretends that he has powers and tells you if you're worthy or not.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So no. So the journalist who wrote this article, and I think who was actually behind this polling, she says that that this is about parenting styles,
the helicopter
and how they've
parenting.
Changed. Yeah. And so I find that interesting. But like, there was also another article that ran this week, and this is very much at the hand of Russell Nelson. The article basically posed the question of, because the Salt Lake Temple is undergoing a massive renovation right now, like a big seismic upgrade, but they're taking the opportunity to basically gut the temple. And so they were posing the question of like, will Mormons even recognize the inside of the Salt Lake Temple? Like people who had been there before, is this just going to be so completely drastically changed? And I think this is one of the absolute horrors committed by Russell Nelson. Not that it's a place that I can go and enjoy, right? Or would want to.
Yeah.
But if there were regular tours of it, it's a cool old building, or was.
Yeah.
They literally have gutted all the pioneer era, 1800s era crap out of the temple, and they're building a modern temple inside of it. And it's just really disappointing because like the Salt Lake Temple was unique in how they conducted their endowment sessions. They actually used live actors instead of a filmed endowment session, right? Which is what you get at all the other temples. It's just a movie. You walk in, you sit down, it's basically a movie theater. A screen sort of curtains part. There's a screen. Did you not know this?
I've never done any of these procedures or.
Yeah. So like there was sort of some interactive things that you do with the movie version of it, because there's like the secret handshakes.
Yeah. I have seen that on YouTube.
Yeah. And it's fucking weird, right?
So weird.
Well, the fun thing about the Salt Lake Temple was that they had never remodeled it. They'd never changed the flow, and they'd never brought in like the movie presentation. And so it still had the way that it would have worked in the 1800s. You had like you had like the creation room, and then you had like all these different, the terrestrial room. And you would get up and you would move room to room. And there was one point there were like stairs that you had to like climb up. It's like
a Disneyland interactive experience. How fun.
And you'd have like these like 80-year-old temple volunteers playing Adam and Eve. Right?
Oh, fun.
And it always lasted a little bit longer than the filmed versions.
These actors were taking too many liberties with their performance.
Well, no, it had to be verbatim.
Yeah.
It had to be, they couldn't go off script. And if they did flub a line, they had to like go back and fix the line and all that kind of stuff. Right. And so, and plus they were older, and there's all the getting up and moving from room to room, that just added all this time. But it was, I did one session at the Salt Lake Temple, while I was still temple worthy. Although I don't think I was ever actually temple worthy, now that I'm thinking about it. When I had a temple recommend, when I had an active temple recommend, I went and did one. And because I wanted to see what it was about.
Yeah.
And it was just a completely different experience. But the main thing, apart from the experience, was the cool old building.
Huh.
It was a neat, weird old building. And instead of going in and honoring that and keeping it, they ripped out all these like murals from the late 1800s were all just ripped out. Lord knows what they probably saved some of them. Some of them they probably disposed of.
They're so dumb.
And apparently like everything's just being redone. And it's just going to, instead of like getting up and moving around. You're just going to go and sit in an endowment room, and that's that. And I just think it's really, they're so pathetic when it comes to their own history.
Yeah.
And like, if Salt Lake City needed a modern temple, they've got all the money in the fucking world and open lots that they own downtown. Yeah. They should have built a
there's plenty of temples in this valley too that are modern.
I know.
They're fine.
I know. But my thing was, if that temple doesn't work for you anymore, build a new temple that does work for you.
Yeah.
And let everybody who's not Mormon and shows up to Temple Square for to go look around and go to the visitor center and everything, asks, how do I see inside?
Right. Let them see.
Have it be a decommissioned temple.
Yes.
And let people go see the damn thing.
That would have been really cool.
And that would have done more for them. I shouldn't give them good ideas.
They won't listen. Don't worry.
I know. Then they already didn't do it. But they missed so many opportunities to do something that would actually be a huge plus for them. Right. Because out of some, this one, I cannot wrap my head around. It's so awful that they did this. And I just hate it. I feel like they lost something big.
Yeah.
By doing
something
this.
They didn't value though. So,
but people did. I mean, the article, they did talk
bad.
to people who were like, couldn't we just have this one? What was wrong with us having this one?
It's too bad.
People enjoyed it. People would go to do a live session, right?
Yeah.
Because they thought it was interesting. But Russell Nelson didn't like it, so they ripped it out. He's the only voice in the whole thing, the whole church that matters. He has absolute power.
Yeah.
And even if he's making bad decisions, it doesn't matter.
And the only people that are going to question him are also 90 years old.
Yeah. And they tore down the Provo Temple.
You said that. You mentioned that. That's
which
so
I can't
sad.
even wrap my head around. Right.
That Secret Wives of Mormon Lives. There's so many exterior shots of that temple. You should watch it just for that.
Oh my God.
It looks really beautiful, actually.
See, and that's just it. It was a neat building. It was weird.
It is weird.
But it was unique and interesting, and they don't appreciate that.
No.
So, all right. Well, we have really talked about Russell Nelson and his 100th birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just...
Smucker's Ain't Life Grand. Or I can't remember what the slogan is. How sweet life is, or something like that.
That's nice. All right. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for sitting in this week.
Of course.
And if any of you would like to chime in and add your 2 cents to anything that we've talked about today, please do so. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the email address. 424-666-8442 is the telephone number. You can call and leave us a message. We'd sure like to hear from you. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/donate. And there's options. You can go to Patreon from there or PayPal. Let's see. So this episode was edited by Roger Gowdy. Music was provided by Gordon Johnston and the Red Rock Hot Club. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank God I'm Atheist is a production of TGIA Media, LLC, copyright 2024, all rights reserved.